Welcome everyone to the Island Life podcast, where we journey onto the island of discovery to relive some of the best, worst moments of Survivor. My name is Will, an experienced Survivor fan, 48 seasons deep, and I will be your guide. And joining us on this special two-person adventure is our Survivor newbie, the brand new Survivor fan who just finished his 5th season of the show. I give you Survivor F.
Hi guys, Survivor F here. And at this point, I'm a Survivor toddler, no?
Well, you're a Survivor toddler who's also like you're a newbie toddler. So like the newbie is can encompass many things. It's
It'll
probably
be a
like
milestone, folks, as soon as we shed that title. One day
yeah,
I will become the master.
I mean, I hope so. That is my goal. My goal is to guide you through this adventure in a way that you don't give up on the show someday, hopefully. Uh, but
Yeah.
uh, we just watched season 49, episode 2. Uh, a lot of stuff to talk about, a lot of different rooting interests and wild things happening. Just so everybody knows, the way these seasons are structured, the live season, let's just say, we tend to go most interesting topic to least. And that tends to be like last thing to happen on the show backwards. But not always. Sometimes there's something in the middle of the show that will be more interesting than Tribal Council. In contrast to like our Survivor rewatches, for me rewatch, for them the first time, that's usually chronological. And with that said, starting at the end of this episode is the craziness that's happening on the Blue Tribe, the Kele tribe. And I thought this was all going to be about Annie and the hole that Annie dug herself into. And this is why she's ultimately going to be eliminated, blah, blah, blah. But then somebody else stole the spotlight right out from under her. F, please explain to me the machinations of the Alex.
Yeah, I'm not sure I fully understand it. Alex seems to be someone who wants to work with Annie. He sees something in her where she's an older, I guess, mother-like figure to him. So she's someone who he wants to work with, and for that reason, he's not as gung-ho about getting rid of Annie as the rest of his tribe mates are, and he's looking for other weak links in the tribe, and for him, he sees a bigger threat in Sophie. He sees someone who else who would be competing for his bromance with Jake, so to him, she's the threat for, competing with his number one, for his affection. And likewise, Sophie sees it the same way. She's also concerned that, hey, Alex is getting really close to Jake, and I'm not sure if I'm fully comfortable with that. So this is an episode where, you would think that would be an easy vote, especially since we're seeing the same pattern of the same tribe going to tribal and, having the same sort of weak link as we saw in the previous episode. And Alex just kind of throws a little twist in there, letting the audience know potentially, I'm not feeling fully confident moving forward with Sophie. So we I want to figure out a way to get her out rather than immediately target out Annie like the rest of his tribe mates. So that threw me for a loop. I don't know your thoughts on it, Will, but it was definitely one of the more puzzling moments of the episode. Did definitely surprise me. What would you say?
Look, you can wave your hand and just say like, "Oh, it was all for show. He wasn't serious. This was just for Annie's benefit." But the thing is, there's just a lot of consecutive baffling things that are happening. For example, in this episode, Alex encounters the Beware advantage. Good for you. Nice work. Now, he happened to be with Jake at the time. So, as much as I don't like that as much as I don't like that you're telling people, I mean, there's not much that can be done. He's right there. Okay. But later, he will tell us, the audience, that he'd prefer that not everyone from his tribe know. And yet he will proceed to eventually let Sophie in on it, and then let Jeremiah on it. And then, even after he has the idol, as they are about to go to tribal council, go up and tell Annie too. So now Annie knows he is. So the whole tribe now knows. This, I mean, this is chaotic. Now,
And
here's the
some
only
additional
thing I can think of.
context. I feel like some
Sorry.
additional context is important here, Will. I was gonna say that with the way that he told Annie was different from how Jeremiah and Sophie found out. Him and Jake were just walking around and trying to get that idol. Obviously, if you're part of a tribe, you notice when your tribe mates are not around. So Sophie was out and about walking and she came across the two, much like Jeremiah did later on. That's how he was forced into a situation where he had to bring those two into it. Annie was different because she was separated from the rest of the tribe. He himself took the initiative to go up to her and communicate that with her. And this comes off as pretty hypocritical when you see him point out that, hey, like, I didn't want to be roping other people into this. So very puzzling decision making here by Alex.
Well, and I understand that, but the reason I want to talk about Sophie and Jeremiah is, if your goal is to not have a lot of people know, but also to have some assistance in finding it, your sweet spot is one trusted ally. And what do you know? By coincidence, your most trusted ally is the one who's with you. So you should, if you want it to be as secret as it can be, involve nobody else. And since he ends up agreeing with Jake to include Sophie, now they're set up in a situation where if Jeremiah were to find them, of course he's going to be slighted that they didn't include him. So now he's going to feel pressure to include him. And then, yes, he just goes off and tells Annie afterwards. Here, the only benefit, and if we're going to give him the benefit of the doubt, this is what he was doing. We can just accept that. Showing Annie the idol in a way like, "Look what I found for us," uh, is a really strong way to make her feel like you're on her side and therefore that she's not gonna play your shot in the dark. So if that was the goal of that that part of it makes sense. I can wrap my head around it. But, there's a lot of ways that could go wrong. Like, uh imagine I get like Sophie sees no, sorry, not Sophie, Annie sees that and decides, "Oh, now he's the threat. So actually, um, I'm gonna try to come up with a plan to get him out." Like that was a possibility. Um, or she just doesn't buy it and then does still play a shot in the dark. Like I guess ultimately, because he went against my advice and did tell literally everybody else, that means he's protected against, like, let's say, Annie saying, "Oh, did you know Alec has an idol? He didn't tell you." Like, I guess he did protect himself against that. So that's another benefit. I don't know. I just don't like things getting extra complicated, and it feels like they were already in a place where she was very likely to not play her shot in the dark. So
Yeah.
this extra step wasn't needed.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think my take on it is very much similar. It did not need to be too complicated. You had a quick, easy out there. This move would make a lot more sense if we were getting to those jury votes and the person you're eliminating would be a member of the jury, right? Just to show that person that, hey, I'm trying to work with you so that they leave, regardless of, if you're able to retain them or if they leave, they have you in their good graces. That would make a lot more sense. And just to give some credit to Alex here, I think his original plan was just him and Jake. And when this was more Jake kind of pushed him into telling Sophie, he probably did not have much of an opportunity to just say, "Hey, no, let's just keep it to ourselves." Jake might have felt a little bit weird about that because we see Jake say in a confessional that while, the first episode really highlights that he thinks very highly of Alex, in his confessional of this episode, he talks about, "I have 2 number ones." He's not really differentiating between Sophie and Alex, and we did see him stick by Sophie in this episode. He did not throw her under the bus. He comforted her when they lost the challenge, so that wasn't just for show. He genuinely meant that through his actions that, like, let's just try to work with her as well. This is not something where she's an afterthought. I trust her as much as I trust you. So I think him including
Okay,
her in it threw a wrench into that.
but I don't but I think that's a negative against Alex. I think your goal should be to make sure he's only your number 1, and you're just kinda
Yeah,
feeding
yeah, no,
into
I agree with that.
he's you're letting him have it both ways, ultimately. Uh, Whereas if you had been able to persuade him to and you know what? I guess I'm having a high bar for social, but that would be social skills. Like, when you're gonna vote for him to win the game, this would be an example of having great social skills if you're able to persuade Jake, "Hey, let's make this an us thing." Like we have the big group of 4 and then this is gonna be us. And hopefully, like, in the long run, that actually makes you and Jake even tighter, and eventually that makes if Jake had to choose, he would choose you instead of Sophie. Whereas now, I mean, it's
Yeah.
kinda just still status quo where he has both of you. Um,
I think we would have to
so
rewatch
I
that specific sequence because I think like he might have done that had it not the situation not worked the way that it did. I think Sophie was approaching them and they saw it and they had to just make a quick decision. And he was probably not put in a position where he could have just quickly had a disagreement with Jake, and, that would make both of them look suspicious to someone who's just walking and approaching them, right? So, I think it was more of a spur of the moment thing, and Jake's, like, trusting of Sophie, so he was able to just quickly hog tie Alex into that plan, and going by Alex's confessional afterwards, if it were up to him, he likely would not have included her.
Yeah, but you know what? At the end of the day, woulda, shoulda, coulda. I'm looking at what the results that happened. Now, does the events of this episode like, after all my criticism of Alex, is it still a net, rise in his stock in your mind? Like, if you were repicking I guess you could at the end of this episode, but if you were repicking your winner picks, has Alex's stock increased after all this stuff?
No, and I would say that the entire Kele tribe has me worried right now, not even just one person specifically. I think decision making is very poor in this tribe. We see it with Jake, we see it certainly with Annie, and I'll explain on that a little bit further into this episode. We see it with Sophie. I think the smartest, most level-headed thinker we see in this tribe so far is Jeremiah, and we just have not really seen too much of him compared to some of the others. So it could just be it's not seeming like it's just a coincidence that they're losing these. Like, they have things that they need to figure out. They need to be more strategic, level-headed, and just stay within the realm of the game. And I think Alex, his stock was not too high going off of the previous episode. This one definitely did bump it lower, but for me, the whole tribe has been bumped lower.
I see, I see. Um, alright, let's move off of Kayleigh for now, and I think the next most interesting thing that happened is our journey. So, a boat shows up for all the different tribes.
For sure.
Is to you what is now the norm when a boat comes. I mean, the journey's gonna come. The groups have to pick who's gonna go on it. Um, in in all the cases, so on yellow, um,
Peanut
who
tribe.
went for them? It was
They had Matt go.
Matt. Matt,
Matt
that's right.
went from the Peanut
So
tribe.
Matt wanted to go and volunteered to go.
That's
On
right.
Uli, Jawan also wanted to go and volunteered to go. And then on Kele, I don't remember the circumstances that led to Jake going, or if it was just like everyone just said his name or something. Um,
He offered it himself.
I think he was happy to go at the very least. Yeah. So it's interesting because I think it is still a true statement that most of the people don't wanna go or trying not to do it. Like last episode, nobody was jumping at the opportunity to do the redemption challenge that ended up being Rizzo and Alex. But because there's at least one person that does, it makes it look like, I mean, it gives them an easy path to going. And what this ends up being is the 3 of them eventually meet up on an island, and they're gonna compete against each other in a coconut throwing challenge. We've actually seen various versions of this, but usually it's tribe versus tribe, or, it'll be, like, in the merge, and then they'll split them in teams. But you're throwing coconuts into baskets, and that basket belongs to one of your opponents, and you're trying to fill up the baskets to make them full hit the ground, which eliminates that person. Last person standing wins, is what the challenge is about. Really looked even for the most part. The storyline we didn't get is usually there's some logic on who to target, and then therefore, hurt feelings on who gets targeted. But that wasn't actually something that came up as far as I could tell.
Yeah, no, it didn't. And this has been so far the early theme of this season where for the most part everyone seems to be pretty chill in a good mood with each other. And even in their losses, the people that we see lose take it surprisingly well. We certainly saw it in this challenge. And then we see something else interesting pop up in this challenge, which is going to lead to a question I would like to ask you, Will. So what happens in this challenge is Matt, Jawan, and Jake do compete with each other. And as Will had mentioned, last man standing is the only person who has their net up because the other two nets get dropped by the coconuts that get dumped into them by the person shooting them. So Jawan actually ends up coming away with a win here. He wins it for the Uli tribe. And the question for you, Will, is what were your thoughts on the reward here? Because I would imagine the reward structure here kind of caught you by surprise too, right? And just to explain it to the listeners, Jawan was given the option to have one of two prizes. He could have either chosen to have a personal advantage where he could have stolen a vote from one of the two losers. And that was the other change where whoever lost this didn't inherently lose their vote. It was based on this decision, and only one of them would have lost their vote. Now, the other option that Jawan had to make was if I don't choose to go for this personal advantage, I have the chance to give the other team of my choosing a disadvantage. Now, what that means is they have an upcoming challenge that would lead them to tribal. And Jawan was given the option for if he chose this team disadvantage, he would be given the option to give a disadvantage to one of the other two teams during that challenge, making it much and much harder for them to win that challenge and potentially setting him up for better graces within his own tribe. So I know I certainly thought that was an interesting choice between the two. But going back to the question I had for you, Will, what were your thoughts on just the structure of the win for this challenge, and how different has it been from seasons that you've seen in the past? Was this a welcome change, or what were your thoughts?
Well, there are a couple things here. It was surprising, of course, to everyone that the consequences for failing in this challenge was not you lose your vote, although it would turn out that
Potentially.
just a lot safe. But but as far as everyone knows going into it, their votes are not on the line. Uh, so initial reaction is pleasantly surprised, but I admit it did feel like, oh well, then I guess the stakes aren't as high on this. But you got to remember, because we're all thinking this, we expect a vote to be in danger. Everyone on this island are also expecting that. So when you come back, I think there's going to be an expectation that you either lost your vote or you have an advantage, and nothing in no other scenario they're thinking. So regardless of what the actual stakes are, it's it's as if those stakes are there because that's what your tribe expects when you come home. That affects the story you're gonna tell them when you get home. So I think I do like that it's different. I think it's great when there's variety of what can happen. Um, it's it always gets disappointing when it becomes a solved game in that everyone knows the format, everyone's expecting it, and it's agreed upon what the best move to do in that scenario. So I like that it was different. Then the choice of for Jawan, I I liked the choice because really at the end of the day, what I want on my survivor is to allow me when I put myself in their shoes, in the castaway shoes, it makes me think about what to do, where the choice isn't immediately obvious. And that's what I felt in the moment while we were finding out and I went to commercial breaks so I had more time to think about it. Because I was thinking, well, Jawan might feel like he's in danger. And if he feels he's in danger, would doing something for the tribe, help him at all? Because this advantage, which is a disadvantage to somebody else, and it happens immediately. It's going to happen at the very next immunity challenge. And it provides clear evidence that you're telling the truth, right? Because it's happening just reading it. So I didn't lie about that. And it's
Yep.
pretty unlikely that this reward was disadvantage the opposing tribe and also get like an extra vote like that. It's possible, but that would be a lot. Unlikely. So people would be pretty sure you don't have an advantage. And I would worry that would guarantee that I'm vulnerable and make someone more likely to vote for me. Because in this era, I mean, there's not a lot of loyalty in like tribe stuff. It's more like who's gonna better my strategic game in the future, regardless of the tribe life. So if I'm on the outs, I could be in trouble. So and then on the other hand, obviously you can get I think what it was, maybe we can double check later. I think it's just an extra vote is what the advantage is. It's just coming from somebody else. So like somebody one of either Matt or Jake would discover they've lost a vote.
Yes,
Like
I believe
the
you're right.
advantage he would have is the extra vote advantage ultimately, the blank piece of parchment. Um, that's that's come in handy, especially when the tribes are small. But for him specifically, if he has no allies, then like imagine it was 5 against 1. Well, then 5 against 2 doesn't help. And if it was 4 against 2, well, then 4 against 3 doesn't help. So in the immediate future, that extra vote isn't turning the tide without flipping another person potentially. So, it made me think of all those things. And at the end of the day, um, I agreed with what Jawan did, which was picking the tribe disadvantage, even though I acknowledge, like, I don't think this saves like, if they had actually gone the tribal, I think he still would have been in danger, but I think it's still better than if he had not done that.
I agree with you there. I think he made the right choice with what he knew, and I liked his conviction, and it presented a good level of self-awareness that he had in which if he's feeling really comfortable in his tribe and he feels like he has good relationships, he would definitely be more inclined to taking that personal advantage because he has flexibility with it. He doesn't need to choose to use it right away. I don't think it mentioned, "Oh, you need to vote, like, by such and such time." We know with the team one, obviously, it is gonna come up in that next challenge, so he has more flexibility with the personal one, and, that down the road could be more beneficial for him, but he has the awareness to know that, "Okay, I" and for the listeners who are not aware, it is revealed in the episode that the core 4 for Uli, as we're told, is it's Nate, it's Rizzo, it's Savannah, and it's Shannon. That meaning Sage and Jawan are on the outs. So if he wasn't aware of that, or if he had some sort of misunderstanding there, he might be more inclined to choose the the personal advantage, giving him an additional vote to be able to enforce his will within his tribe. But as you said, if you're in a position where you have one vote and the majority is not with you, having an extra vote is really not going to make any difference. So it requires extra work to be able to flip the tides of that. And that's exactly what he does with this, right? He gives an opportunity to be honest and truthful with his tribe, do something that benefits them as a whole, gives them a different impression of him, right? If the first impression of him might not be as positive as it would be towards the other member of the core four, and gives them an opportunity to be more willing to work with him, not just for this episode, but down the road. So I thought that was a really good move for him. It does potentially shift the dynamics in their tribe, which is what I would love to see moving forward. And it's something where who knows, even the tribe that he uses on once he has the disadvantage that he applies to one tribe, the other tribe members who, if he goes into a merge setting, might remember that and think more positively towards him because of that. So I think there's a lot of benefits towards doing that where you're
Are
not
you
in
saying
immediate
are you
risk.
saying that the other tribes would have a positive? Because I would think they would
The tribe
be a
the
negative.
tribe that he did not put a disadvantage on is what I'm saying.
Oh, okay, okay, maybe.
Yeah.
I did worry about that, like, "Oh, no," like, now he is very publicly, like, making life worse for one of the 2 tribes, whichever he picks, but
I mean, he has to. He's forced to do it.
when yeah, when he well, and when but the thing is, he's forced to do it, but he's not forced to pick you, so I was worried about that. But in the moment, uh, when the Yellow Tribe, when Yuna gets picked, I think it more came across as, "Oh, the Kele tribe is going against us," or sorry, not the Uli tribe is going against us, rather than Jawan is going against us. So I think it was okay. Like, I don't know that they're gonna hold a
Yeah.
grudge against him specifically. Now, we'll see if it matters that they blame the tribe, and that could. I think I would think differently if it was if swaps happened more often in the new era. It hasn't been never, but more often these 3 tribes stay separate to the end. Because if there was gonna be a swap, well, now if you mix things up and but it's still 3 tribes, you're in a new group of 5, let's say, well, now that extra vote could change everything, depending on how things shake out. But but since that's not the norm, and it's also not known, like, it could or could not, that's a lot of extra steps to assume that's gonna happen. So, um, yeah, I was okay with it.
Yeah,
What
a lot of
I
interesting choices in this episode, and to me, the highlight of this episode was really what came after that challenge, right? So, as we had mentioned, Jawan ended up winning, leading him to have the choice, and he ultimately decided to take the team disadvantage. Immediately went back to his tribe, and we joked about this. Well, right? He was prefacing the conversation and trying to be upfront with the rest of his tribe saying, "Hey, I won the journey." And guess it, like he wasn't just outright telling them, "Okay, this is what I won." He was asking them, "What do you guys think I did?" And we were just laughing about the fact that, like, what if he just tells them, like, "Oh, I won the challenge, but I took this thing that gives personally just me the advantage." Like, what their
no,
immediate
because
reaction would be.
he explains it first, he sets it up, he's like, "Oh, and in this case, no one lost their votes, and actually, uh, I had a choice, and I could either have a personal advantage or something for the tribe. Who do you guys think I did?" With a smile on his face, and I'm like, it'd be so funny if he's like, I
Yeah, we definitely
it'd be so funny if it's like,
we definitely knew.
I did got the personal thing for myself. It was so funny.
We definitely knew what option he was gonna take based on how he was setting up the conversation, but I remember just, like, ad-libbing him for him there saying, like, "Oh, yeah, no, guys, like, I actually guess what? I chose to
Mm,
just take the personal advantage, right? So, like, we don't need the team
yeah.
disadvantage for the others. We can win the challenge."
You know,
But,
we laugh at that. There is a history. Some people have come back from whether it's a journey or an older survivor, just some kind of event that got them an advantage, and they come back, they say, "Don't worry, guys, I got this advantage for us. We're gonna use the advantage. like when we're merged.
Oh,
It's
is that
tough to
right? Okay.
come up, and you know that it's tough to make you believe you, but that has been a strategy people have used. Like they would say, like, I got this extra vote, and we're gonna use the extra vote together to take down those other tribes. Even though like that's an individual reward, so you are not obligated to do that at all. But no, it was funny. Um,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
also have
So
to
it
I think we need to address too. So this disadvantage, which he puts on the yellow tribe, is to wear the 20 pounds of coconuts as you're doing most of this challenge. A severe disadvantage, and I dare say a dangerous disadvantage, because if anybody had fallen from like ladders or on top of a platform, and then those coconuts fell on top of other people or yourselves, horrible injuries, horrible liability to CBS and Survivor. But uh unbelievably, the not only do we see another choke job by the blue tribe, but Hina actually is able to get ahead in this challenge and seal the deal and win the whole thing. It's crazy.
Yeah, yeah, just, recapping what happened in the challenge, it's another relay race where they have an obstacle course where they have to go through netting as a tribe, and then I believe they have to set up a ladder, and on top of the ladder, they grab a key. So the disadvantage is, like, based on what we hear, a very harsh disadvantage. They have a key that then unlocks, like, a little fence with a bunch of padlocks. That'll then take them up to a steep platform that they have to all climb together as a collectively as a group, get to the end, and then the 2 people in each tribe at the end would then go up and finish the final puzzle. Now, Jawan is left with the choice for, who he's gonna put the disadvantage on, and I really liked the decision he made. He ultimately decided to put it on the Hina tribe. Hina tribe has 6 people. Kele tribe, the blue tribe, has lost 1 person, so they're already working with a disadvantage, so I see that as Jawan trying to even the odds there, and as Will mentions that, like, the Hina tribe ends up still surprisingly not having that hinder them, right? Not only do they have those 20-pound weights that they're going through this obstacle course with, but they also have double the amount of padlocks that they have to get keys to unlock compared to the other 2 tribes. So the other 2 tribes have 5 keys that they need to open the padlocks. The Hina tribe has 10. So, like, I remember when Jeff first mentioned what the disadvantage was, I was like, "Oh, okay, well, they for sure have lost." Like, that's especially brutal. And no, the Hina tribe just goes ahead and proves me wrong and just dominates once they get to the puzzle at the very end. And the other thing that we should point out is the Kele tribe has an early lead, so much so that they get to the puzzle before I believe the other 2 tribes even have their keys. So they have such an early lead. And just as we see in the previous episode, and again, recurring theme with Alex being part of a puzzle, they have a major choke job and are unable to finish the puzzle despite having the most time to just figure it out. The
They're
Hina
barely
tribe
able to
comes from
start the
behind.
puzzle.
Exactly. It just kind of blew my mind. The Hina tribe comes from behind and they are neck and neck with the Uli tribe, but end up taking it away. And again, I know it's just 2 episodes in, but we see a clear pattern again of Hina being in first place, Uli being in second, and Kaylee being dead last. And the other pattern that I just mentioned is now have 2 instances of someone in the Kaylee tribe, especially Alex, doing something puzzle related where he's built an early lead only to choke it away. Does this give you cause for concern, Will, if you're someone who's selected Alex?
Oh yes. In fact, if I would be swapping away from Alex immediately, this is yeah. Even though, so look, yeah, the only thing that gives me pause is from completely giving up on him. Is he now has the power of a full formed idol and a ride or die in Jake. That is a powerful combination. But the thing is, I feel like when it matters most, he's gonna choke, whether it's a challenge or decisions in the game. So yeah, I'm deciding to blame Alex for this. I will not blame Sophie, and good for him that
Yeah,
he has an idol now that'll help him, but I have no
I
faith.
am just at such a loss. The previous episode, I thought that was one of the biggest choke jobs I've seen in Survivor. up till now, and this episode was probably even worse. And it's the same tribe, and more specifically involves one, like, the same person. So it's definitely alarming and more than just a coincidence at this point. So, um, Alex does go on to, as well mentioned, get the beware advantage. So it doesn't seem like he's in a very dire situation just yet, but that for me, that is something that, is major cause for concern. That forget about, physical challenge. If there's something that just involves a puzzle, Alex just really struggles with that. And in this case, Sophie was with him too. He wasn't the only person working on the puzzle. So Sophie herself was having a really hard time with the puzzle. But in her
I
case,
choose to
is
exonerate Sophie. I'll fully put the blame on
yeah,
Alex until proven otherwise.
I would too. But
Uh,
yeah,
what'd you
it's
think of
what
the Beware advantage itself? I don't think
oh,
you've
okay.
seen one like this, but
I
it had
haven't.
this
No.
type of thing has happened before where the it's you need to do something only after you lose a challenge, and if you can't do it, then you're not gonna have your vote until you do it. So that format has happened before. So what'd you think?
I liked the conditional aspect of it, if I'm being honest. I like that it's not a simple, "Oh, okay, here you just get an idol just for finding it." I like how there's steps involved. I like how there's conditions where, in this case, you have to lose a challenge to be able to even get the idol. So in their case, they were able to work on it right away because they immediately lost the next challenge.
Yeah, well, and
So
you've seen Beware advantages. So you've seen like you need to perform some kind of task and then you get the idol. The difference here is you can't
there is
start
like an
that
added
task
yeah,
until somebody
that's what
else
I mean. Like there's an added layer with this one that like adds a level of complexity, and I'm sure some people would probably be against that, but I like that's the sort of chaos that I like in Survivor, where it's like, well, we're not just gonna dangle it on a rope and you have to like cut the rope to get this. Like you have to you do have to meet certain conditions to get this. So I do like how it that can be used creatively. This is hopefully something we see more of, in my personal opinion. And I like the fact that it wasn't an impossible thing. Strategically, it gives Alex an opportunity to say, okay, well, it's hard for me to figure this out on my own. So it would be important for me to mention this to someone, just like we saw in season 48, where they had the padlock challenge. Whoever got the beware advantage for that was just mentioning it to the rest of their tribe, kind of like Star did, just to be able to, just to be able to get the idol. So much in the same vein, this was something where Alex thought, okay, let me just grab my number one. And once we figure this out together, this should be able to be something that we can obtain right away. And
Honestly,
unfortunately for them, yeah,
I
go ahead.
don't agree with that
Yeah,
because
let's get your take on it.
I don't agree in two parts of it. First, the this and I because I've seen this type of thing before.
Sure.
I think what's hurting me is it's like a fake. It's like a tease of difficulty. Like the drama is supposed to be, oh no, they're only gonna have the few hours between getting back from the challenge and tribal to do whatever the instructions gonna have to do, and yet it just seems like they figure it out. Like it's like I'm losing the the conviction in how hard it is to do because really that's whatever the beware challenge, let's say, is gonna be, it's supposed to be, "Oh, no, can they do it or not?" And there have been ones where I'm like, "Oh, no, are they gonna be able to do it?" And there's actually been several times where they can't do it in, like, the same episode they find it, like, days pass until they're able to do it. But this one, it just seems like they're more I wonder if they're trying to get someone to throw a challenge, like, do something crazy, rather than the difficulty being in finding it, like, doing whatever the piece of paper says. The drama's supposed to be, "Ooh, are they gonna, like, force their team to lose?" But I think that's also fake tension too, because we don't get to read the whole paper, but usually with these, the threat of losing your vote lasts until the merge, and then at that point, if you haven't done it yet, then you don't have the idol, but you do have your vote back. And in this case, well, there's really no trouble because the only time you can try is when you lose, and therefore, if you never lose, then you don't have to worry about it. Like, imagine if the condition, what's a good one? Like, maybe you have to be a shoe thief like Jake. Like, you can only do this on a day where you're able to steal someone's shoes. So that is a dramatic thing to do. So you might not want to do that immediately. You have to pick your spots. But the longer you wait for the perfect moment, the longer you're not going to have your vote. And one day you're going to be going to the tribal and like, do I do it now? I think I like that better. I'm not. It did. The tension didn't grab me with this. So that's the first part. The second part is the meta of the Beware advantage has really become tell as many people as possible. Not after, but before, so that your group works together to guarantee you will accomplish whatever task is going to be needed. And because of that, uh, regardless if you agree or disagree whether it's beneficial for your whole alliance to know or not, what it means is that later in the game, a lot of people know. And that usually means everybody knows. And if everybody knows, it is really hard to get that awesome blindside moment at tribal because people are taking into account, oh, this person is an idol. That might mean don't vote for them at all, or it could mean split the votes. So I like the beware advantage, but I don't like that the way they've constructed this game mechanic has encouraged players to make their idol very public. So
Yeah,
that's
no, I
that's
see
that's
your
what I didn't like
points.
about it.
I see your points. They're very valid points, and I think this is where we have a disconnect because you have more experience watching Survivor, so you've likely identified a pattern here, whereas my thoughts are more in a hopeful nature that, okay, yeah, we saw something similar in season 48 where multiple people are involved, but I'm of the thought that the reason I'm a little bit more in enjoying that aspect of the game is that I'm thinking of all the strategy that could come, which could have come maybe in previous seasons that we have or haven't seen. But my thought is more that okay, there are pros and cons to it. It's not something where just to confirm with you, you don't necessarily have to take the beware advantage, right? Like
Oh
you could
yeah,
just choose to leave it.
you could just put it back where you found.
So I think there's a strategic aspect that you could look at it where it brings something to the game where if you're someone who's just a loner in your tribe, if you feel like you don't have a connection with anyone, if you feel like you're at risk of getting eliminated, you're not going to be in a position where you might tell anyone, right? You might find the idol and you could just do it all on your own. Now, what we saw with Alex was he has a trusted number one. How how difficult do you think, or like, do you even think, given the same scenario, if they weren't bringing in Sophie, if they weren't bringing in Jeremiah, could he even have completed that challenge, the Beware Advantage? Could he have completed that in this episode? I would think that it would have been harder for him. Sure, is it still possible? But part of them spreading out and looking for it was helped obviously by him having other people to help him look for it. And we even saw a situation where Sophie was considering screwing him over on that just I think bringing Jeremiah into it based on how the edit was shown to us, Jeremiah bringing him into it maybe took Sophie away from her spot and allowed him to find where the actual, what he was looking for. So, I think that there's, like, a lot of different, like, strategy that a Beware advantage could bring into the game, but I do see your points. Your points are valid where, if there's a recurring theme of everyone knows about it, then, yeah, it ultimately is a moot point, but I'm of the thought that, like, it's something where you don't wanna be telling everyone about it. You wanna be sneaky with it. If it's something, yes, where everyone is no like, just knows about it, then it kinda defeats the purpose of the strategy behind it, so
Well, do you
I would agree
remember?
with
I forget if you joined 47 in time to see this, but do you remember Sue being caught literally red-handed at one point? And
yes.
people
Yes,
thought
that
there was,
does
like,
ring a bell.
blood all over her. She was like, "Oh, I just cut my" meanwhile, it's, like, red paint, but she just actually that was part of the Beware advantage. Um, So that
But
one's
she was one of the finalists. Didn't not do anything
yes,
against her.
yes, but that beware advantage was set up like, "Hey, your goal should be to keep the secret, but oh no, beware because when you get this, all this red paint's gonna be on you, and now the drama is how to avoid being caught red-handed." I liked that. That was cool. But it would be less cool if Sue's strategy had been, "Oh, let me just grab all my friends and we're gonna look for it together, and then when the paint falls, like, it doesn't matter because the people who caught me red-handed are my allies and they're like, it's fine." Then,
Yeah.
all the tension would be gone. Um, so that's
Yeah,
kind
no,
of
100%. I agree with your point in terms of how they try to gamify it with just involving everyone. That does kind of ruin the experience for having that person or even just
although
one other person figure it out.
because Sophie was brought into it, her thinking about how to turn this to her advantage was interesting. I gotta check with our rules experts. I don't think she could have made good on her threat. She was saying when she found it, she was like hiding it back up, not telling Alex or Jake. And then she made this comment like, "Oh, and maybe later I can get the key and I get it myself." I don't know that you can take someone else's beware advantage like after that person found the clue. I mean, it's my understanding that he, when he made the choice to not put it back, right? You either put it back or you open it up. He has now claimed the beware advantage, and the beware advantage is what gives you the ability to find the idol. So I don't think like imagine Annie was just walking around and without the map, just by coincidence stumbled upon that idol. I don't think she could claim that because she did not actually find the beware advantage. But what Sophie was doing though is just not her stealing it, but if she just prevented anybody else from getting it, then at least, it keeps the idol out of someone that she doesn't really want to work with, which is interesting. It is a weird like love triangle type of thing, or maybe like romance triangle, uh, where Alex and Sophie are not happy that each of them are close with Jake. Uh, and yet for now, like all of them are aligned. So that's gonna be very, very interesting to follow to see if that group of three actually stays tight or if one of them will try to blow it up and like keep Jake for themselves. So I'm curious how that's gonna go. And it honestly a lot of positive signs from Sophie. It's just mixed in with a lot of potential self-doubts, but that could have been an act too to make Annie feel more confident, so you're not sure about that. Um,
Yeah, yeah, and
but
you
yeah,
you
those are
kinda
my thoughts
highlight
on
you kinda highlight part of why I do like the beware advantage system because that's like, look at it this other way. Sophie doesn't even necessarily need to find the idol herself if that's her plan. She just now has the knowledge that as long as Alex isn't able to find it, if I am trying to undermine him, and if he is eventually gonna be a target of mine, I know that him not finding this is gonna work to my advantage in that he's not gonna have a vote. So if I could somehow convince others to vote against him, we could blindside Alex and make it so that, he never even gets that idol. So there's a lot of strategy to play, like for the person getting the beware advantage, for the people who find out about it, and for the people who choose to support or act as an obstacle in terms of getting that idol eventually. So I like that. I like in terms of what it can potentially bring into the game, the sort of chaos that it can allow.
makes sense for sure. Um,
Now, I
I
wanted to ask you one thing before we moved on completely from the topic. What were your thoughts on the team disadvantage? My initial impression was it was very harsh. It felt like just an automatic loss for the team that's part of the challenge who has that handicap. But clearly, what we saw was that was not the case. So, what were your thoughts?
well, the as a game mechanic, um, I like it in general. Like that's I mostly like it so that it can create rivalry between teams. Like I can imagine a season where the gimmick, like we just watched a season that had Exile Island as the main gimmick. Imagine there's a season where the main gimmick is every single week. somebody's picking a tribe to be disadvantaged, and I imagine eventually, like, the resentment would grow between tribes, try to fight against that buddy feeling where everybody's friends. So I
Oh, I
think I'm
would
a
love that.
I think I'm a fan of the game mechanic itself. Now, the specific disadvantage, I think it was harsh, and I was comfortable with how harsh it was. Because actually, there's kind of a history of, uh, tribe and individual advantages, challenge advantages, and a lot of the times, those advantages are also powerful. So I feel like it makes sense that then a disadvantage would be similarly powerful, and clearly they overcame it. So I guess the question would be like, was it maybe it wasn't harsh enough? Um, but I thought it was good, and it was like you said, it was twofold. It was the extra weight during the Stranger's Challenge, and then also having more keys than the other tribes to fiddle through at random. I guess the one thing is in the, uh modern era, and this I mean, this goes back even before season 40, to be honest, where every challenge seems to end with a puzzle. I guess when you don't make the disadvantage have to do with the puzzle, there is the chance it falls flat. Um, but this time, I think, like, it just makes sense visually as you're watching them carry the coconuts that didn't bother me. I could see a different version of this where, like, I don't know, like, the ramp is a little higher or something where I'm like, I don't know, like, doesn't feel like enough because at the end of the day, it's gonna be the puzzle that decides it. So, I think that's the only concern I have with this type of mechanic, but otherwise, I like it.
Yeah, yeah, it was nice to see, and for me, just having that mechanic, I know generally I would be rooting for the team who has the disadvantage on them. I like to just root for the underdogs, and if I know that someone has a handicap, I would love to see them overcome that handicap. So I liked the episode solely for the fact that we got to see this challenge. I really like that aspect of it.
Nice. See, I love when, like, the challenges get the love because a lot of the times everyone focus on the strategy, and we all love the strategy, but, make challenges exciting too. But I would appreciate both. Why not both? I don't think there was anything else specifically I needed to talk about. Uh, I do want to address our winner picks on so my picks were Shannon and Jeremiah. I l- I liked Jeremiah in this episode mainly because he didn't really participate in the story, but I think that's okay. There is a risk that he would be the next person to go if the three of Jake, Sophie, and Alex stick together, but I think what I'm hoping is that, well, A, they don't lose again, that'd be great, but if they do, that somebody, either Alex or Sophie, will get anxious and wanting to make a big move, and when that's how you feel, you usually use the other person to help, and that other person's gonna be Jeremiah, so therefore, if he's gonna be part of a blindside, then he himself isn't being blindsided. So I think Jeremiah is okay. And he also didn't do anything egregious this episode that made me be like, "What are you doing?" And then Shannon, we actually feel good about her too because uh, there was a moment. I think was she the one that wanted to do the crab blessing? I'm trying
You're
to
gonna
remember
have
if
to
that was
remind me, crab
her.
blessing?
They found a crab. Savannah found a crab out there, and then before they ate it, they were gonna like do a prayer to respect the life of the
I
crab before they before
I am
before
just
they eat
totally
it.
forgetting about that. I think
Uh,
you're right. They did highlight her with the crab afterwards, after Savannah originally had picked it up.
yeah, I thought it was her, but if I'm confusing her stage again, then I apologize. But if it was her, uh, again, like with the yoga and everything, that's the type of stuff that can easily get on people's nerves and like make you look like a weirdo or just make you just people get sick of you. But because people didn't have that attitude, I think again that's more like okay, they're accepting her and she's not. making waves. This is good. And she's part of the majority alliance in that tribe. So I have no reason to change from either of my winner picks. So I'll be sticking with Jeremiah and with Shannon.
I feel sick to my stomach that I'm having to do this. I normally like to be a ride or die, but
Oh,
just this
really?
episode has made me, yeah, very concerned about just the Kele tribe, their dynamics, their long-term planning, the just the withdrawn nature of the tribe as we see them go into tribal. We see a lot of them just have moments of brain fog and just they do not have winning attitudes. I do not see a winning attitude. Obviously, they're not winning, but just having the perseverance to say, "Okay, let's just move on to the next day. Let's overcome this." Like, I'm not seeing that sort of willpower that's pushing really any of their members forward. So, I did choose Sophie as one of my picks. So, I would say I'd probably switch Sophie out with Savannah from the Uli tribe.
Interesting, interesting. Before you lock that in, remember, should you switch from one of your picks, you can never go back to them. But at the same time, if one of your picks is voted out, then you've lost them entirely, and then you're down to just one pick.
Yeah, no, I'm comfortable with this. I like to be ride or die, so I'm thinking that the original like thesis I had behind picking Sophie just kind of got rattled with this episode, and I would like to comfortably say that yeah, moving on from this episode, it's still early into the season. I'm comfortable sticking with my pick. So yeah, that's fine with me.
All right, I'll lock it in. And what about the rocket scientist, Steve?
Yeah, I would stick with him. I think the Hina tribe is going strong right now, and clearly they're dominating. Right, just 2 episodes in so far, but we have not really seen them sweat it out, even with a handicap on them.
They are truly the vibe tribe. Matt thinks that his tribe is the vibe tribe, but no, the Hina tribe. They are the vibe tribe.
Matt is part of the Hina tribe.
Oh, that's right. Well, then he's right. Who was I thinking? I guess that. Oh, that's. I
You're
guess
thinking of the Uli tribe. The Uli tribe was also saying they're the Vibe tribe.
that's right.
They were the
Everyone,
ones throwing out the slang. We had the nice opening sequence with the rad dad Nate hearing all the
oh,
slang
that's
from the
right,
hip
Nate. That's
youngsters.
right, Nate. What Nate was thinking that he was on the Vibe Tribe. That's what it
I
was.
I want to get your thoughts on that as well. I definitely thought they were playing that up. Like, we hear slang, but, like, just as soon as Nate said that, they were just showing, like, cuts of them saying, "Oh, okay, this is fire, or this is such and such," and you're like,
Okay,
"Yeah,
but
they're definitely
literally,
playing it up for the
literally,
camera."
literally, Rizzo was talking about like, oh, if it's a puzzle, we're cooked. So more slang last episode. So
Yeah.
as I understand it's an edited show, but it's not like
He's the Riz guy.
they.
He's the Riz guy. He's the outlier.
Well, yeah, I mean Riz. I talk about Riz too. So, I it's an edited show. However, they all those clips are real. Like people said that. So I mean, there's only so much that can be played up versus reality. So honestly, I feel like Nate is not hallucinating, and actually that he is
Oh, no, I don't think
accurately.
he is. I'm more I'm just more curious in terms of if someone has said something to them behind the scenes to just play that up, like, play that aspect up that, like, "Oh, you guys are younger than Nate is," and, like, Jeff might have, like, just encouraged them to just, like, "Hey, you guys are younger than Nate, make him feel old."
You know, as a member of the millennial generation, I don't think I don't think they need anyone to tell them to play it up. I think that is just how people of our generation talk. So I will paint with
Oh,
a
yeah, no,
broad
I
brush
definitely hear
and
that.
treat it all the
I definitely hear that. It was just funny
I've now
listening to an entire sequence of them saying, like, "Fire," "YOLO," "Riz," like,
although
for a minute
I don't
straight. It
know,
was
I
funny.
guess like a 25-year-old now, is that still a millennial? I guess I have to review the definitions of millennial. But uh
Millennial, I believe,
we're
ends
aging
in
ourselves.
90, I
So
could be wrong here, 97, so probably not.
I mean, I feel like you would think that it ends at 2000 because it's the end of the millennium. But yeah,
That
it
would be
doesn't
too
matter.
simple.
Whatever it is. But all right, thank you everyone for tuning in to this week's episode of Island Life, and tune in next week as we continue our journey with season 49. Until then, and until we speak again, ciao.